Hi guys, Zack here with another Command & Conquer Red Alert video. I've had a bit of a break from Red Alert until this weekend where I've been playing a bit of quick match, just coming back into it, and I decided to put on a few games that I had with another player called TataMata. We played about 4 games in total, and I'm just going to be showing what happened in those games in chronological order. So this is the first game we played, which was on Bullseye. For those of you wondering, TataMata is ranked about 30 at the moment. Now, I do recognise the name, so I think I must have played him in the past, but I can't really remember it that well. So when playing these games, I wasn't really sure what to expect. Now, with Bullseye, it's quite a straightforward map, sort of. It's mainly ore only, except there is a gem patch in the middle, which you can utilise later on. And generally I go ore refinery, war factory, ore refinery, and that's the economic start. You can also do the rush, which would be just the double war factory, like tanks, cell, construction yard sort of thing. You can also see that I'm scouting out the middle, and that's really important, because what some players can do, it doesn't happen like really often, but it happens every now and then, is they'll send infantry and they'll send them round to the back of your base. So if you don't scout out that middle part, you won't see them coming, and by the time you see them it'll be too late, and they'll probably get either the second war factory you're building or your construction yard, and then pretty much it's good game. And you can see him sending an infantryman round to the back of my base, but it's only one, it's just for scouting purposes. This map's not really bad for like defending against scouts, because as you can see, all the ways into your base are quite narrow, so it's quite easy to do. You don't need that many infantry to do it, but it is really important to scout out. Now you see that ore refinery, it's not best placed. What I should have done is microed my ore trucks a little bit and just got my ore refinery placed a bit further down, then it would have been a bit more efficient. And now you can see I'm expanding up to the north because I'm going to want to utilise that other ore patch. And I'm just keeping on moving these infantry around, just trying to get as much visibility as I can, and to be able to scout out if my opponent's going to attack me at all. And you can see I've got quite a good visibility at the moment of the map, and I'm now going to be getting my second war factory down. And now I'm going to be building my ore refinery, and you can see he's sending a light tank through my base, so I'm just going to try and do as much damage to that as I can. What he's doing is he's just sacrificing some health off one of his tanks just to get a bit more visibility on my base as a whole. And what it tells me also is he's not doing a light tank rush, otherwise he would have been coming with a bunch of light tanks. And you can see he's just trying to cause a little bit of harassment there, annoy me a little bit. He's not actually trying to destroy, well, he's not trying to destroy my power plant unless I wasn't watching. And you can see I've just built another ore truck there as I place my third ore refinery at the top there. And once I get another couple of ore refineries down, I'll have enough ore refineries in order to build a third war factory, which can really help in long games on this map. What I'm doing now is I'm just sending my tanks to the middle. That's just to cause him a little bit, well, to make him a bit uneasy, I guess, to try and just force him like to fight me here and not send more tanks to my base. And you can see it's a light tank versus medium tank duel at the moment. He's also got some infantry, which can make a little bit of difference at this time in the game. And you can see he's got a little bit of the upper hand. Sometimes you have what's called defender's advantage, because his reinforcements will be closer by, so he'll be able to feed into his army more quickly. So I'm just pulling back a little bit onto this gem patch, and I'm in a bit of a better position here. I've got my tanks grouped together, and I think that engagement didn't go so well for him, because when you try and send your tanks through a narrow spot, they tend to get spread out a little bit more. And now I'm just trying to take my tanks, and he's pulling his tanks back a little bit. Well, I thought he was going to go back to his base, but it seems like he's going to go hold here and fight. And as you can see, I think he's got a couple more tanks than me at the moment. It's light tanks v medium tanks. Now light tanks do about the same damage as medium tanks, but medium tanks have an advantage in that they have more HP, they have more hit points, so they can take a lot more damage. Light tanks can fall apart a little bit more easily. They are a bit faster at moving though and have better maneuverability. And as you can see, as this battle goes on, it looks like I am actually getting the upper hand, because I think I now have more tanks than he does, and you can see he's pulling back those tanks to his base. Now I've got those 3 war factories on the top of my base now, or refineries even at the top of my base now. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just building a power plant, and then I'm going to be building my 3rd war factory. So I'll just place that down here now and have my 3rd war factory building. And he does look like he's taking his tanks to the side. I'm just going to attack him there, and I'm probably going to need to pull back actually, because it's a bad idea to go down a bottleneck. And as you can see, I've lost and got a lot of damage to some tanks there, so that was probably a bit silly on my part. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tanks to the back of his base, where those ore trucks are, currently undefended. So I like to take this aggressive stance on this map. It just stops the enemy from attacking your base as much and takes the fight at their end. And you can see I'm building a radar dome. He actually has come and attacked my base now, so I'm just going to fight back here because I don't want to lose too much. And you can see it's not too big of a problem. He's got 5 light tanks. Sure, they can do a lot of damage if unchallenged, but I'm just taking my tanks here, and it looks like I'm going to get rid of them fairly easily. And that's really good for me actually, because all he's done there is he's destroyed an ore refinery. But that ore refinery doesn't really matter because I've got an ore refinery right next to it, so that's not going to cause any problems at all. And he's also lost 5 tanks now, which is going to make a big difference in these tank battles. And you can see this is a final. Looks like he's got all his light tanks here. I've got all my medium tanks, and as you can see, I'm now outnumbering him. So I think that was a really bad decision by TataMata there to take that fight at my base, because now he's just losing in terms of tank numbers. And as you can see, he's getting a bit overwhelmed, and I'm able to push him back. And I'm just putting a few pillboxes around because he is using light tanks, and light tanks, as I said before, are very fragile, they're not very durable, and they can be destroyed easily, and pillboxes are actually quite good at defending against them. They do quite a bit of damage, and you can see he's pulling his tanks back to his base. But my numbers are just too great compared to his now, and there's probably going to be no way back at all. And you can see I'm just getting rid of those low health tanks, and now I'm going to push through this bottleneck because I've got about 3 times the number of tanks. So it's you can do it when it's like that. You just don't want to do it when you've got equal numbers, because then you will lose a lot of tanks and the enemy will gain the upper hand. And it's just going to be a case of destroying tanks and destroying buildings now. It's pretty much good game. There's no way back. I've also got the radar dome so I can see what's going on across the map. And I think he's also sold his construction yard, so he's not going to be able to build any more buildings. And he probably did that halfway through just to get a better number of tanks. So this is the second game. It's on the map Canyon. And this map's quite small. It's Bullseye's probably a bigger map. This one's a very small one, and I'm just getting those infantry out nice and early. And scouting does play a very important role on this map. It's very like, you got a lot of cliffs, so it sort of like makes it very narrow, the places you can go down. You need to make sure you get everything defended, don't let any enemies in your base, and just get as much visibility as possible. So it's a very different map from Bullseye. You don't really usually have the bigger tank battles that you could have on the map. And I'm just getting that ore refinery out, and I'm getting my first war factory. Now usually on ore only maps, what I would do is I would go ore refinery, I'd build my war factory, and I'd build 2 ore trucks. But as you can see, this is a very small map. And usually if you build 2 ore trucks on a very small map straight away, the other team can punish you badly. So what I am going to do is I'm going to build one ore truck, and I'm going to start building tanks. And you can see he's bringing those things up there, so I've spotted them, and I'm just putting some troops at the entrance there. And if he was going to try and run those through me, he can very well so, but I think I've got enough troops there to be safe. And as you can see, it's not too bad for defensive purposes, as long as you get your troops placed in the right place and let none of the enemy sneak through. I'm just going to try and get that little bit more visibility, so you can see I'm sending those single load infantrymen down, because I know it'll probably be defended, and I'm not too bothered about moving just one or two, and I'll just keep the bulk of them back. So you can see he's well defended on the left side of his base, and I think it'll be very, very similar on the right side, and indeed it is. And from what I can see, he's actually spent an awful lot on infantrymen, and what you can see he's done there is he's pressed X, probably the hotkey X, and what that does is it spreads out the infantry, and it's so that I can run them over with a tank, like all at once, which you can do when they're grouped together. So I'm just running a tank through his base. I want to really see what's going on, and it looks from him like it's going to be a standard build. Sure, I've sacrificed some tank HP to do that, but sometimes it's just good to know what your enemy's planning. And now you can see I'm building up medium tank numbers, and you can see my opponent is also building medium tanks. And medium tanks are usually the favoured choice on this map for a few reasons. I mean, one of the big advantages of light tanks is in manoeuvrability and speed, with the bases being very close together and there being not much room to manoeuvre, and that is a really important part. And also, what tends to happen, because it's a very narrow entrance into the base, this map will boxes, as you can see that right now. And because light tanks are durable, boxes can do a lot of damage to them, so they tend not to be on this type of map. And I'm just going to be pulling back now, because I don't really want to get in a fight with their tanks around pillboxes, because that's just going to hurt me quite a bit. And you can see I'm just building ore refineries, and I'm going to be starting to build some pillboxes of my own. And I'm just building all those. Now on this map, you do have to be careful. As you can see, there's that little cliff in the map, and what you want to avoid is getting the tanks stuck around that, because it does spread the tanks out, and they don't group together as well. So you can sort of like use, what you can do is you can sort of like position your tanks behind it, and then let your enemy come through if they're going to try and attack you. And at the moment, I'm just getting that next ore refinery.
Unit ready. Building. Construction
and
complete.
Generally, you only ever have 2 ore factories on this map, or certainly I've only had that. And you can see now I'm getting ready to start placing my pillboxes, and that tank got in a bit of a bad position there. And it just seems to be taking into a bit
Construction
of
complete.
racing game here.
Building. Unit ready. Building.
This map sometimes
Construction
has
complete.
base crawls as well, so you can see I'm sort of like crawling my base a little bit. And he's just utilising all your factors on the side. And I'm just going to try and expand it a bit further down past that. And you can see he's responding now by the box next to this information.
Construction complete.
rushed all those pillboxes next to his base. I lost a few tanks then, and then he saw it on the other hand, and it started to snowball here. It's just like little tiny little tanks in bad engagement, and then that just makes the opponent a slight underhand, and it starts to head on from there in a situation like this, where he's vastly outnumbered me, and he's destroyed the player for me now, so I've decided to score it. Good game.
Mission failed.
Now for the third match, I'm just going to show you the very highlights, because not much happened. It was on Bullseye again, and basically what it was just a rush attack that I was quite prepared for. You can see he's got 4 light tanks there, I've just started with mediums. He's going straight for my orchards and my economy. And I really actually pulled my orchards back. I was just trying to raise tanks here, and it didn't really work out at all. So yeah, there wasn't really much action at all. That's all that happened in our third match really, so I've shown you about all the action that's gone on. So yeah. And this is our fourth match on Tournament Arena. This is the last match I've played against TataMata on the time I recorded this video. On this map you do move your construction yard a little bit before you deploy it, and that's just so you can take advantage of the gems. If you're playing on the left side, the gems are at the south. If you're playing on the right side of the map, the gems are at the north. So you're sort of like playing diagonally in this game. And you can just see I'm sending my infantry out. I'm going to be using some infantry to scout and some infantry to defend against the enemy scouts. So you can just see I'm placing them in a circumference around my base, and you can see that TataMata is already got some infantry going for my base. This map is a very small map, so there is a lot of action early on, and I'm going to be building double war factory because I'm mining gems, and I'm going to be producing light tanks straight away. And light tanks seem to be the favoured tanks on this map, and quite often what you do see is you see light tanks trying to rush ore harvesters or refineries, depending on who you're playing. You do have to be slightly careful at the start of these games as well, as this map can sometimes lend itself to infantry rushes, and you can also have base crawls when you're fighting Soviets, where they'll move the MCV right near your MCV at the start, and then have a fight out with flamethrowers. So at the moment what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get as much visibility as possible, move my infantry around a little bit, and I'm going to move this light tank just to apply a little bit of pressure. I'm not trying to do too much damage with this light tank, I'm just trying to annoy my opponent and distract them from attacking my own base. So I'm taking it right to the top right. The reason it's going to the top right is that's where the opponent's orchard is, and you can see he's also built light tanks. And so I'm just going to bring my tank down. You can see it's lost a little bit of HP, but it's not gone too badly. And what I'm going to be doing now, I've got my 2 war factories, is I'm just going to be increasing the number of ore refineries I have. And as you can see, me and TataMata are building up for a little battle here. We've got our infantry, we've got our light tanks. At the moment, TataMata seems to have the upper hand in the number of light tanks available. A bit of a tussle at the moment, and you can see he's got that orchard, so he's got that ore refinery already. So he's a little bit ahead at this point in the game, at this stage. So I've got my second ore refinery, and I'm going for a third ore refinery. Now this is where our strategies diverge a little bit. What TataMata has done is he's started to build pillboxes. Because he's seen me using light tanks, he's thinking, well, if he's going to attack my buildings, I'm going to build pillboxes, that's going to build those light tanks. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to keep away from those pillboxes. You can see he's placing a pillbox down there, further down the map. And I'm just going to try and take engagements away from those pillboxes. As you can see, though, at the moment, TataMata does have the upper hand in terms of numbers, and I was just pulling my light tanks back a little bit, and I've got that third ore refinery down. Now this is really important. I've just saw my construction yard because I've seen I'm behind on tanks, and I just want to get a few more tanks on the battlefield, so my construction yard is now sold. Now, as it stands, because my opponent has only got 2 ore units and I've got 3, because I've got 3 ore refineries, I'm going to have the upper hand if this battle keeps on going on, because I'm going to be getting a bit more ore, because I've got 3 ore units collecting rather than 2, and because I'll be collecting more ore, that means I'm going to be able to build more tanks. So the longer this game goes on, the better it gets for myself. And as you can see, I'm just darting around his base, being as annoying as possible, keeping him busy and stopping him from trying to go on the attack. And you can see at the moment, I think now, my light tanks are starting to outnumber his own, and this is starting to look better for me. And you can see he's now pulling back, and he's got a few damaged light tanks, and I've got the confidence now that we need to push in. He's got another box there, and as I go into his base, what I notice is that his construction yard is gone. So as soon as his construction yard, which means he's not going to be able to replace any more buildings, he's not going to be able to build any more ore refineries. And I just have to be careful here, because if I go in too deep, I'll lose too many light tanks, and that'll give him the upper hand for a counter-offensive. Because you can see now he's back to having probably, well, it's probably the same number of light tanks as myself, and this is a really important engagement now. And you can see some of his bonding is I'm targeting down those loads of HP tanks, those ones that are yellow and red, and it's looking very, very good for myself. I'm going to squash some of those infantry, get rid of those remaining light tanks, and as you can see now, I do definitely have a slight upper hand in terms of tank. We're starting to push him back, and now I'm starting to regroup because I'm starting to lose some, but there's another 4 light tanks coming in there, all with good HP, another one there, and now he's going on the offensive, but he's only got 4 tanks, and if he's only got 4 tanks, there's only so much damage they can do, and he's already lost 1. And as you can see, I'm outnumbering him. He's going for my ore truck, but even if he gets rid of that ore truck, he's still going to be down a large number of tanks. And he's called it good game. So thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.